Aaron Videtto, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Aaron, we're going to have a great conversation today about product management, customer experience, and your journey in the technology industry. But I want to get started with the basics. What do you do today for a living?
Today, I'm responsible for a set of services at a tech-enabled services organization called Anderson Business Advisors. My role there is primarily head of product management. What are we building? What are we selling? How much are we selling it for? Who are we selling it to? And then also on the service side, responsible for the client experience on the delivery side of things, right? How do our clients interact with us and vice versa, in order to provide the best client experience that we can.
When does the customer experience start and when does it end?
I love this question because I really think, Mateo, it depends on the type of organization and the products that you are offering to your clients, right? So if you're in a software organization, the client experience kind of starts with sales, right? And you get handed off to the next department, and they try to get your product up and running, and they configure things for you, right? But in a services organization, the thing that the client is buying is the client experience. And that's something I feel really passionate about. So the client experience in a services organization really starts the first time the client thinks they might need one of your service offerings. And it continues all the way through their entire journey, all the way to the end, where hopefully their payment is applied properly to their invoice, and then everything in the middle.
So when you get started, when they are thinking they might need the service, it's all of a sudden how you become available to them, how they can search for you, what information they can find, where they can find the information. All of that becomes part of the customer experience journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what sort of things are you talking about in the market, right? Are you a thought leader? Are you running webinars? Are you inviting prospects and current clients to live events? Now that COVID is over, we're seeing a lot more organizations offering live events, and clients are excited to come to those events to meet people and network and share ideas and ask questions. It's all about networking. It's all about letting clients know that you're there and that you can solve particular problems that they might have before they even become clients.
Very good. And Aaron, how did you get here? Did you always want to be in product?
I didn't even know product management existed when I first was asked to become a product manager. This is a really fun story, Mateo, if you don't mind me indulging for just a couple of minutes. I worked right out of college. I worked for a company called Citrix out in Silicon Valley. And I spent the first 2.5 years of my career flying around the world installing software at customer sites. And that was super fun. But what I would do on the way home is I'd spend the plane ride writing emails to people saying why our software solutions didn't actually solve the problems our customers needed it to solve. So I wrote those emails for like a year and a half. And finally, my GM called me into his office and he said, "All right, we're done. You are now going to be a product manager, and you're going to start affecting change from within instead of writing those 2 to 3 page emails on the way home from every trip." And I said, "Hey, that's cool. What's product management?" I didn't even know that the function existed. So I started at Citrix in Silicon Valley and really, learned quickly what it means to be a product manager. Learned through a lot of trials, a lot of errors on, how to implement product management, how to be a good product manager. And I learned very early on that if you focus on your customer, not the internal needs, but if you focus on the external needs and the experience that your customer has, not only with your product, but also with your company, your products are going to be a lot more successful. So early in my career, I learned what product management is, and I have always been hyper focused on the client components of product management.
So bring us back in time when you started in product management and you asked that question of, but what is it? What is product management? Did it, everything that exists today in terms of there are courses, specializations, the whole Marty Kagan books and everything inspired, etc., etc., etc. Did any of that exist, or were you just wandering around what the discipline was, but there was nothing to really you know get access to, like learn very quickly?
No, none of that really existed at that point, or I didn't know that it existed at that point, Mateo. It was a lot of trial and error, right? So understanding the needs of the leadership team, I thought was very important. Understanding the needs of the engineering team. This was when I started product management, it was even before Agile became a thing, right? My
Right.
first set of requirements was a PRD. It was a 30-page product requirements document where I wrote things in paragraph form and reviewed it with the engineering team. There was, like I said, a lot of trial and error, a lot of trying to understand what the people around me needed in order to launch a successful product and putting plans together to satisfy those needs.
Got it. Customer experience is very, very important to you. Do you think most product managers think alike, or do you think there are product managers that are more focused on keeping the internal balance and playing politics, or do you think some product managers are more focused on sales? Is it normal and common for all product managers to have the type of focus that you have on customer experience, or not really?
I think the answer to that question is it depends. And I think, Matteo, it depends on a number of different things. I think it depends a lot on the culture of the organization. Is the organization client focused, or do they just say that they're client focused? Does the organization empower their product team to actually spend time with clients as well? It's not cheap to spend time with clients. You have to physically go and see where they are and what they're doing. In today's world of Zoom and all that, yep, it's a little bit cheaper, but you still have to spend the time to talk to your clients and your customers, create advisory boards, right? All of these things take time, and sometimes an organization will enable a product team to do that, and sometimes they won't. I think in an organization where you have this mixture of product managers and product owners, where the product managers are externally facing and product owners are internally facing, I think there's also a disconnect at times, right? The product owners are the ones writing the user stories. They're defining the what, but they're disconnected from the why and the who they're writing these things for. So I think, again, to wrap it up, my answer is it depends, and it depends on the organization and what they are enabling or not enabling their product team to achieve.
In a perfect organization, how does the relationship between a product manager and the sales team work, right? And the reason I'm asking this is typically I've seen a lot of PMs joke around that the sales team, many times their job is like to promise things that don't exist, that don't even exist today, right?
Mhm.
Have you seen that in your career, and what's the perfect relationship between sales and product?
Yeah, I have seen that quite a bit in my career. And there's always the same root cause. The product team and the sales team don't work together, right? The sales team sells whatever they'd like, and the product team builds whatever they'd like, but there's no active communication or partnership between those two groups. And whenever I've seen a sales team that just goes off and sells stuff, I often then try to tag along with them as much as possible, right? And create that relationship between sales and product. I think if you are a product team and you think about product management as we are the general managers of our business, or we are the CEO of our business, right? Instead of just I'm writing user stories, I need to write something that's actually going to sell. You need to create those relationships with sales and marketing and customer service and all of the different operational teams across the organization, so that you're not just building something that they then have to sell, market, and support, but you're building it together with them. So it's something they do want to go out and sell, something they believe in with the marketing, and something that can be supported, right? So when I see this disconnect, the way that I usually handle it is to just create that partnership and make them part of the process.
So talking to customers is very, very important. And the different teams that are involved in the product do that, the more they talk, not just, not just product, but sales, but product owners, the developers themselves, and everyone hearing really the voice of the customer, the better we are going to be. But what methods do you use? How do you talk to customers? What methods and what processes do you use?
Yeah, so one of the primary processes I use is a customer advisory board. They are your 10 to 12 people that are always in your back pocket that you can call up and say, hey, I want to run something by you, right? They are trusted advisors. They will tell you like it is, because they feel like they too are part of the process of building a new service offering or a new software product, whatever it is. Whenever I talk to a client, I always make it a point to invite someone else to the conversation from inside, right? Whether it's an engineer, whether it's an architect, whether it's sales, I always make it a point to invite other folks to the conversation, so that they're not just taking my word for it. This is what the client said, trust me, right? It's that they heard the client say themselves, these are the problems that I have, right? The other thing I like to do is focus conversations around problem sets, not features. What is it that the client is trying to accomplish that they can't do today, so that we can then develop solutions to real world problems, not I want another green button on the right side of the screen.
And is there a specific moment where it makes more sense to talk to customers? Is it anytime, all the time? What do you think
Oh,
about that timing?
it's all the time. It's all the time. When you're building a product or a new solution, something, it should start and end with customers, right? I believe sprint demos should involve customers, wireframing should involve customers, prototyping should involve customers. I think that they're key at every stage of the product process.
Typically in the industry, per your experience, do you think engineers, developers have enough exposure to customers?
Absolutely not. And I think we're doing our engineering teammates a huge disservice by not giving them access to clients, because they ask questions that product people don't even think about asking to clients, right? And customers, and saying, well, if why do you want to do that? They ask those questions like, why would you even think about that, right? And then the product guy would maybe not even think about that. I think having engineers be closely tied to the client conversation empowers them to deliver a better solution. I've seen so many times in sprint planning, and I will say something as a product manager, right? Well, we need to do it like this. And an engineer will question that and say, well, when I was in that conversation and I asked that question of that customer, I got a different view of it. And then you're able to have an actual discussion with your engineering team about what you should be building and why, so that the team, again, will always come to a better decision than just one product manager.
And how does data play a role here in making decisions, right? Because many people is talking to the customers and they say, oh, I was in a meeting and they said, blah, 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 we need to do X, Y, Z. Do you just go for it, or do you wait until you have enough data? How does that work?
Yeah, everything needs to be data driven, Matteo, right? Everyone has opinions, everyone has thoughts about what we should be doing first, second, and third. And really, everything starts with organizational goals, right? So, first off, where is the organization trying to go in the next 12, 18, 24 months, right? That's the first thing that we need to have in the back of our minds. The thing that we need to have after that is client data. right? So when you're having conversations with customers, I like to keep Excel sheets, quite simply, that say, hey, I heard this problem 4, 5, 6, 10 times. I heard this problem 20 times. I heard this problem, right? And then what I then do is take that problem set and understand if those problems and their potential solutions would align to the organizational goals, right? Are we trying to grow profitably at scale? Are we trying to cut costs? Are we trying to enter new markets? What are we trying to do? And how does the potential solution set to the most pervasive customer problems match to the organizational goals? And that is how I create my roadmaps, is all based on pervasive client pain that ties to organizational goals.
Got it. Going back to memory lane, what was the biggest hurdle you overcome as a PM and how?
The biggest hurdle I overcame as a product manager, I think, really was when I was a product manager at Pitney Bowes. And this was my favorite product management role. And I'll tell you why. The way that Pitney Bowes structured product management is that we were actually GMs of our product line. We reported to an executive VP and GM of a business unit. And we were expected to manage the entire P&L of our product, which I think every product group should be set up this way. And when I took over as a director of product management, I took over a global business unit that was about 100 million in sales. And for the previous 4 years, the business had actually been declining. And they said, hey, listen, you've done a good job launching a couple of new products that have been successful in this business unit. We'd like you to now take over the business unit and turn it around. And that was a pretty big hurdle. But I just applied some common sense leadership to the problem, right? Just understanding what the problems were. Why was the business unit failing? Was it product? Was it service? Was it sales? Was it delivery? Did we not have the right mix of products in the market? And I spent some time just asking questions, meeting with the sales team, saying, hey, why aren't you selling the products from my business unit? Meeting with marketing, asking them if they understood the space that these products were in. Meeting with clients, why aren't you buying my stuff, right? Just asking a bunch of questions for a few months and understanding the problems around why the business was failing. And the answers were all somewhat simple. The client said, everything you have is on premise and I need stuff that's in the cloud because I don't want to maintain products on premise. Okay, so we had the wrong products. Got it. Talked to sales. They said, listen, you don't compensate me enough to sell your stuff. It's a longer sales cycle. It's about 6 months. And it's really not worth my time. So I'm going to go sell something that I can sell quicker and make more revenue from, right? I mean, sales folks are coin operated. We've got to help them generate more money for themselves. We talked to marketing, and it turns out they didn't actually understand the space that we were in. So they weren't marketing our services in the right way. So just things like that, talking to people, and we created a short list of things we needed to do to turn the business around. We white labeled some products quickly. We, remarketed. We talked to sales. We worked on comp plans and all that sort of thing. And in about 8 months, we were able to kind of turn the business from a shrinking business to a growing business.
So what of your response, Aaron? I see that you did a lot of talking with all of the stakeholders and you didn't hide away from the problem and you didn't hide the problem. You were trying to highlight the problem and address it head on. Are those some of the most important skills to succeed as a product manager? And what else is important to succeed as a product manager?
Yeah, I think shying away from a problem definitely is not the way to succeed as a product manager. Also, trying to solve all of the problems is something that product managers try to do as well. I was mentoring someone recently who said, I see my job as just being the #1 problem solver for everything. And I think this is a trap, actually. I think product management needs to be the one to shine a big, huge spotlight on the areas of the business that are falling down, not to be the one who's quietly solving all of these problems, because that's why product managers get burned out so easily, right? They feel like they have to solve everything related to their products. I think if we respectfully and appropriately shine spotlights on areas of the business that could be improved, right, then we'll have less burnout. So I think that's something that product should do.
Do you think, if I were to ask you, where is product management today as a discipline? Do you think there's too much pressure being put on product managers to just solve everything on their own? What you just said, is that part of the issue, or where do you see the discipline today?
I see the discipline today still focused. I'd like to bring the conversation in a different direction, but I think the product management discipline is focused on delivery of features,
Right.
not delivery of value, right? And a number of my colleagues say this is not brain surgery, right? But I think if we can turn the product management discipline from thinking about, well, I delivered this feature on the roadmap, and change the thought process to, well, I delivered this value to the client, which then resulted in this value to the business. I think product management will be seen in a much different light than it is today.
Is there a special skill in spotting the value? Is it a business acumen? Is it thinking like a mini CEO, like that GM with ownership of the P&L? What drives good product managers to be that good about thinking about value?
I honestly think it goes all the way back to just listening to your customers. I
They're
think
telling
that's where value comes from.
they are saying it to you. You don't have to, trust your gut feeling or imagine things or go on an ayahuasca trip, and it's your customers are telling it to you. Face value.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have customers that you can call and say, hey, listen, tell me about your day. Tell me about a day in your professional life. What does your leadership team expect of you? Are you able to deliver that or not? Why? And just keeping quiet while they answer you, thinking about what it is that they're saying, not about the next question you're going to ask, but thinking about what they're saying and trying to glean some of those kind of nuggets of pain that they're talking about that they might not even know that they're saying to you, right? I think success in product management comes from meeting with, talking with, and listening to clients on a regular basis.
Got it. Um, in terms of leadership, you led teams across your journey. You also led teams. Are you leading teams today? Tell me more about that. Are you are mentoring? You're helping other people grow in this career. Um, what are the biggest learnings so far in terms of leadership for you?
Oh, there have been many, many learnings in leadership. I think one of the primary learnings I had in leadership was, what is my actual role as a leader? I had to figure out what I wanted to be as a leader. Was it a task manager? Was it someone who made sure we always had the right amount of budget available? And it took me a few years to actually figure out what it meant to me to be a leader. And ultimately, I landed in an interesting spot where I really think that my role as a leader is to enable my team's success. And that's it. My job is to make my team successful in their roles, removing organizational roadblocks that get in their way from being successful, letting them give the presentations, right? Letting them be out front, and empowering them to make their own decisions. I really see that that's my role as a leader. Certainly not task management and budget spreadsheets. Yes, 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 that comes with leadership. But I don't think that's a primary role of a successful leader.
How much of what you just said is dependent on effective and real delegation?
Oh, all of it. All of it. Letting go, delegating, trusting your team, empowering your team is all about delegation, and trusting that they can, do the work and do it in a way where you would be comfortable having them in front of the CEO, making a presentation about what it is that they're working on.
Was it hard for you to let go as you kept growing as a leader?
At the beginning, it was exceptionally hard, right? I thought that it was about me, right? A reflection on me, right? But really, what it is, it's a reflection about the team and how the team is doing. So at the beginning, it was very difficult for me to delegate. I would want to review things 2 or 3 times. I would even write drafts of things for people and say, do it like this, right? Because that's my view of the world, and I think that would be, make us successful. And of course, that didn't work. It will never work because people think differently, people act differently, people will come at a problem from a bunch of different directions. And it took me a couple of years to kind of try other methods and figure out what worked best. But yeah, at the beginning, it did not come so easily, delegation.
Let's talk a little bit about new technologies, right? Generative AI and different technologies out there, I don't know, VR, AR, etc. How are new technologies affecting the role of a product manager?
Well, new technologies are, they're always going to be thrown at us as product managers, right? And whether we include them in our products or not, I think is a really important decision from a product management perspective. When crypto came into play, right? When everyone was saying, well, we've got to have this in our products. We've got to have this in our products. My question was, okay, why? Right? What problem is this solving? Who is it solving a problem for? And is it the most cost-effective way to solve this particular problem? With AI, right, and Chat GPT, I attended a seminar a while ago on Chat GPT, right? And one of the things that one of the presenters said has stuck with me. We need to use these new solutions, right? We can't just ignore them, but we need to treat them and use them at the right level, right? Using Chat GPT or any AI model in the world of product management, you have to think about what level is it operating at, right? Is it operating at a VP level, at a senior VP level? Can it come up with your strategy? Can it come up with your execution plan? Or is it operating more at that level of an intern where you would give it research projects, right? And you would ask it to summarize all of your customer data for you, right? I think that that's the way that it's influencing our work today. Maybe we don't need to spend so much time making tick marks in an Excel spreadsheet from 20 different customer interviews. Maybe we can use it to anonymize and generate summaries of data for us and maybe help us come up with, groupings of things that we should be working on. But again, it's operating at that intern level, not necessarily at that strategic vice president level that some people might think.
I love that, what level is it operating and how to think about it. I love it. What advice do you have for anyone listening, anyone in the audience that wants to go into a product manager role? What advice will you give them?
You have to love being with clients. I've seen some product managers who actually don't like customers. They don't like spending time with them. They think all these customers do is whine and complain and moan. And I have to be honest, if that's the mindset that you have, that's okay. I don't think product management is the right discipline for you, right? But I think anyone thinking about product management, you have to be hungry to solve problems. You have to be hungry to think about solving problems that also align to organizational goals. And you definitely have to enjoy working with clients on a regular basis.
Very good. Aaron, one last question to you. What do you do when you're not working?
What do I do when I'm not working? Well, I'm a dad of two young boys, 6 and 10, who both love soccer. So most nights after work, we go to soccer practice, and then on the weekends, we do soccer games. But I also love music. So I'm teaching myself to play the pipe organ actually at a local church. Just the sheer power and magnitude of that instrument is something that blows my mind away. And every time I'm able to practice, I go into my happy place, right? And I'm able to be just surrounded by beautiful sounds and music. And that's really about all I have time to do.
It's enough and it's very good. I share your passion for music. I want to see a video of you playing at the church. I know that it's very hard to capture the way it sounds there, right? Because there it's just beautiful and it surrounds you. And, you know, music is, sound waves, right? It's a physical thing moving and impacting you. And so it must be so beautiful there. I know it's hard to transmit that, but still, would love to see it. And Aaron, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. We'll stay in touch and hopefully we can do this sometime again in the future.
I look forward to it. Thanks for having me, Mateo.